I'm Lee Garcia, and I'm currently a lead analyst in the Asset Protection Organization. I have been with the company for over 43 years with an actual NCS date of September 23, 1974. I was the third of three brothers that started with the company back in the 1970s, back in a time when the company was required by a consent decree to hire minorities. In fact, my oldest brother was the first Hispanic hired in the Lake Jackson, Texas area, with the brother right above me being the third. And I was number 5 of the total 5 that started during that time. To say it was different is really kind of being nice about it, because a lot of people use and throw around the word diversity today. But do they really know what diversity means? Because trust me, back then, it definitely was not used the way it is today. I walked into an office that was predominantly Anglo, and I will say that I was welcomed quite well. I had some really good co-workers. In fact, Blackie Stone was my first co-worker, and she was what we called a tub buddy. And she told me then, I know we are bringing in minorities who will probably come in and take our jobs, and that she could sit there like the others and not teach me everything she knows. But instead, she decided her job easier by training and sharing all of her knowledge to make it easier for both of us. And that has really been a philosophy I have utilized throughout my career. That when I bring in someone new or a new member joins the team, I try to transfer all my knowledge to them because of the example Blackie gave me. Now the thing about it, as I mentioned, in other ways, working in that environment was totally different. You have the #MeToo campaign going on right now. Trust me, I got to witness all of that take place almost every day. Got to witness quite a bit of the use of the N-word. Also sadly experienced quite a bit of being treated like a second-class citizen while at the office. And probably one of the primary examples that I always remember is that we were bargaining for employees at that time. And the process was that you were supposed to be signed up by the union steward within days of being hired by the company. And it was 6 months later when the chief steward finally approached me and said, you and Bravo need to sign this and become members. And I told him, my brother said we should have signed this months ago. And he turned and said, yeah, but we didn't think you Mexicans were going to last. Can you imagine hearing that today? But that's why when you get involved with an employee resource group that is focused in promoting diversity, you have to think of those that came before you. For many of the younger generation, today it's a word. For us older generation, it was an experience. It was a journey. And yes, I've mentioned earlier how I had some great coworkers, but there were a few there that did not know how to leave their lack of understanding of different cultures and how people were different in many ways when they walked in through the company door. I truly feel we still have the problem today. Maybe not as magnified as it was then, but it does exist. But the thing is that we are making progress, and we have made a lot of progress because the company has been a forerunner to make sure that we as a company and we as employees definitely understand and start to learn how diversity impacts the success of our company and our own personal success. Back in 1988, due to a surplus condition in our work center, the company transferred me to San Antonio. So I moved from an area of Texas where in high school there were social castes based on what side of the tracks you lived in. And of course, like most cities in that area, you had the tract that separated the town into the north side, which was the better neighborhood or the Anglo neighborhood, and a highway that divided what we call the quarters, which was the African American side, and the barrio, which was the Latino Hispanic side. But we all congregated into one high school after desegregation, which provided a great learning experience to learn and understand different cultures, which helped me a lot when I got hired by the company. So it really kind of set me back when I moved to San Antonio in '88. For here was a city where the majority were Latinos, and yet, when I walked into the office, the majority of the leaders were not. And it was not because there were not qualified Latinos in the office. Many had master's degrees, many had multiple bachelor degrees. And yes, some were of course getting prepped to be promoted, but it was just not happening. And along came some individuals who decided to create the HACEMOS Employee Resource Group that we know today, with the objectives as we know today. And it was those pioneers who reached out to senior leadership, Wayne Alexander, and talked to him about making sure that the company focused on promoting qualified Latinos and Hispanics. And the key word there is qualified. For just like you, I don't want to be promoted because I'm a Latino or Hispanic. I want to be promoted because I am qualified. And because of the work of these individuals, Jesse Sanchez, Sam Ortiz, Ruben Garcia, and others, and the subsequent chapters that followed, we were able to get to the point we are today. 41 chapters, over 11,000 members, and Latinos and Latinas in AVP, VP, and officer leadership roles. And more importantly, various cultures now have representation through the various ERGs with AT&T. This year, in 2018, HACEMOS proudly celebrates 30 years of being an employee resource group promoting the Hispanic and Latino culture. But our members are very diverse, and that's the beauty of the entire concept of the employee resource groups. For diversity is something that you should grasp, understand, and then teach others about, because around you there are individuals you can learn so much from, and they can learn so much from you. You know, I always go back to Blackie Stone. She was from Louisiana, and she liked to call herself a specific nickname for Louisianans. I won't repeat it here, but she was the first coworker who told me, no matter how different you look, no matter how different you speak, no matter the differences in our background, you and I are a team, and we will succeed as a team because I'm going to teach you everything that I know, and I'm going to respect you the way I want you to respect me. So a lot of times when I hear folks talk about diversity, I want to ask them, what does diversity really mean to you? What has been your journey? Has it been riding the coattails of others and just using the verbiage to your personal advantage? Or has it been one where you have been a positive example and leader of diversity? Because I know many people that know me will say, man, Lee Garcia really gets riled up when he feels like he is being treated like a second-class citizen, both in and out of the company. And the reason is when you've gone through my journey or the journey of my generation, you understand that if you don't speak up, you're not heard. And that is really what I believe and what I try to instill in my chapter members. Don't stand for the status quo. Speak up so that others can hear you, but be a leader in a positive means to make sure that your message of change is a positive one. You have to be a leader of change, but in a positive way. I end this message really more on what I want the next generation to understand and remember. Never forget who you are, but never forget those that came before you. Learn from those experiences, learn from those mistakes, learn from those hardship lessons, and apply it in a way to ensure the future generation moves forward in a positive way. My name is Lee Garcia. I'm a proud American, a proud member of HACEMOS since 1988, and a proud 43-year employee of AT&T.